5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What is good, everyone? It is your boy Politic and Hawk alongside my guy, Mr. Joey Woods, Mr. Pat from Andler, Mr. Moyo Fit Chris Wilson will be joining us momentarily. We are Still Steps, joining us live on a beautiful Friday evening, courtesy of EOP Sports. Mr. Joey Woods, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing good. I want to thank our guest for tonight for joining us, taking time out of his day to bless us with his presence. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely, and we know we're not going to hold anyone up any further right now. We do have one half of the CZW Tag Team Champs, part of the CMD, Mr. Boom Harden. Mr. Boom Harden, how we doing this evening?
What's up, man? You already know I'm chilling, vibing, ready to have a good talk, ready to make good conversation. Let's go, baby.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Feel like we've known each other for such a long time already this evening. So yeah, let's get right into it, man. So one of the first things we always do when we have a guest on to Still Steps, we always introduce them, and we love to understand where the inspiration was to becoming a professional wrestler. So what triggered you as a young kid to become a professional wrestler?
So my journey and my path to want to be a professional wrestler was like kind of like a bird finding breadcrumbs, where it's like my first instance of knowing what wrestling was like really, I want to say, watching Spider-Man, where they had the wrestling scene. It's the first time I ever saw wrestling, and also that one part in Shrek when like it was all like at the Duloc like place, and then like they all start fighting the knights. And then like when I was around like I want to say in pre-K, maybe like 5, 6 years old, I had a friend that had action figures. I had an older cousin who was really big in SVR06, and he only played with them. And then
Right.
one night in like early '07, my dad came home from work and just turned on SmackDown. I started watching SmackDown every week. Then around that April, I started watching Raw every week. And everybody knew I was really big in wrestling. Wrestling was like the one thing I'd always talk about. And when I was in kindergarten, it was career day. Everybody had their careers picked out. Everybody wanted to be a race car driver, everybody wanted to be a doctor, everybody wanted to be a movie star. I remember crying my eyes out, like straight bawling because I didn't know what I wanted.
Right.
So all the teachers got together. One of them had a United States Championship belt, and they just gave it to me for the day and took the picture. And I held my little muscles up, and like in the yearbook at the end of that year's kindergarten, it's read, "My dream is to be a WWE champion." And so, like, my entire journey is all about fulfilling my childhood dream.
Oh man, that's awesome. Tell us who are your biggest role models or influencers in the industry?
Definitely guys like Undertaker, just because like he was like the most grandiose and most like oh like in terms of like this is like what a
Yeah.
wrestler is. It's like I was very much in the Undertaker, but also guys like Jeff Hardy, guys or anything like that, like I could just gravitate towards. And later on, once I became like a super wrestling nerd, I started getting more like Benoit, more into Malenko, more into Guerrero.
So yeah, you're a little bit younger than me, so you had to like seek out those tapes, right? Like Benoit, Malenko, and stuff like that. Like, so you're doing your research on them at that point. Is that fair to say?
Oh, did we lose him? Oh, got some little
There he
technical.
is. There he
There
is.
you go. There you go.
So I don't. You could hear my last question. I apologize. Sorry, I think it's on my end. Let me fix it. Is there an echo? I'm sorry. There we go. So you say Benoit and stuff like that. Like you're a little bit younger than me. You're saying like pre-K and stuff like that. I'm trying to get an estimate of your age. I'm 28, so I
I'm
was a
22.
little
I'm
yeah.
22
So
years old.
you're a lot younger. So you had to seek those guys out, right? Like Benoit and Malenko and stuff like that. Like you had to go like looking for them. So did someone like put you onto those guys, or how'd that turn about?
It was mostly just from like kids who like my real gateway to like wrestling as a whole, like the dirt sheet stuff, was like whatculture.com. Like
Right.
I remember like in around middle school, I started going there every day, and they'd always talk about like Benoit, Guerrero, Malenko, stuff like that. And then I just started like researching all that constantly. And then like once again, like a rabbit hole, like this guy led me to this guy, this person led me to that person. That match led me to this match, that match led me to that match, that show led me to that show.
Mm. Okay, and one more question I have, just in terms of like wrestlers and stuff now, is there anyone currently in the game that you're like really, looking at and trying to be like, okay, that's where I want to go. That's who I want to kind of follow in terms of the game.
I think definitely somebody that is super nice that much where it's like he's very much like into like obscure wrestling. He's very much into like different things that people may have always forgotten, and like he chooses to like try to go down a path to like make it his own, like make old stuff that may have not got to shine new again. And he's also doing it his own way. I really appreciate that too.
I got you. Hey, Boone, the phone was breaking up just a little bit. We actually missed the name of the person who you mentioned, but like we heard as far as like the philosophy behind him. But what was the name of the person? Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Really, you
Willa, you okay. I had a feeling you were speaking of someone who actually has that technical background, like Philadelphia own Willa Yuta, is that definitely someone who's rising up in the rankings at the moment. So again, I know you're from Camden, New Jersey, so someone that's coming into the industry. Um, who was like that first um what's the word I'm looking for? That not motivator, but mentor. You were able to connect with to actually further your growth into professional wrestling.
I definitely would say Matt Tremont.
Mm.
Metrima, okay.
Matt Tremont, because like when I first started coming to CZW, like he was the guy. He was the CZW champion. And I was like really big into him, and like I love like just like having conversations with him, just like picking his brain and stuff, like spending time with him and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I got a quick question because you brought up CZW and stuff like that. Like CZW, they kind of it's the ultra violent kingdom. It's like CZW is kind of like, in as far as America goes, like the innovator of death match. You know what I mean? So did that at all kind of turn you away at all? Like ultra violent and stuff like that, or you kind of welcome that?
I think at first it scared me, but like gradually it like became like, yeah, it's different. I was like, I really do have like a love and passion for like hardcore and deathmatch wrestling.
Okay, yeah,
Mm.
because I mean I know it's not for everyone, so I was wondering like, and who was your death match like that popular death match Sherry pretty much.
As far as like wrestling or like
Yeah,
just like watching stuff. As far as like
either
wrestling,
or, like your first
Jeff
match or
Hanneman.
that kind of got you in there.
So like I was actually at I was at the first NGI.
Oh,
Me and my friend, we went to the first NGI back in 2015, and like I remember like, oh man, it's crazy, like all these people. I'm like, yo, like I'm fucking 14. What the hell am I doing out here? Just like middle of the woods in New Jersey, like all these old ass people. And it was like, yeah. I'm like, all right, what the fuck? And I was like really into wrestling. I think the match that really stood out to me from that night was Masada versus Corporal Robin.
mm.
That was like one of the best death matches I've ever seen. And as far as like actually like having a death match, Jeff Cannonball. Jeff Cannonball, somebody that I have a lot of admiration, love, and respect for, and he was willing enough to have a hardcore match with me. It's one of my favorite matches ever.
That's a pretty impressive name in terms of deathmatch world to kind of say
Yeah.
one of your first death matches or hardcore matches was with him. So that's pretty impressive, because you hear a lot about how like it's kind of a tight knit community where guys you have to have that trust with each other, to pretty much put someone's life in their hands. That's pretty cool that Jeff trusted you enough to do that. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. Tell us about your stint going overseas. I saw a couple of matches on YouTube where you had a nice run in Germany. How long did you stay overseas?
All right, so me and about 10 of the wrestlers from CZW, we were sent over to go train at the WXW Academy over in Germany. We were stationed out in Europe total for about 26 days. But in those 26 days, we trained pretty much like every day of the week, barring weekend. Well, really weekends too at the WXW Academy. But then like on in between when we weren't training, we were also getting on other shows. In particular, I wrestled for I also wrestled for PCW over in the UK. So myself
Okay.
and it was awesome.
Hmm.
Oh man, yeah, that's great. Hey, just one second. I know. Oh, what's the name? Camera it glitched out a little bit at a time, but I know you said you wrestled over in PCW. Are you like when it comes to working overseas? Is that something that like you're looking to continue to pursue, moving forward? Like as far as like having your stint in the U.S. but also making a print, because I know a lot of wrestlers do tend to go overseas to wrestle. Like is that something like when you went over, was that something that you saw was like what, like is the wrestling industry much bigger out on foreign land, or do you feel like it's like on a equal level?
It really did feel like it was on equal level. Especially like the shows they felt like the same as indie shows here. It really it and like as far as like wanting to like do it continually, I would absolutely love to. Because like I said earlier, like I pride myself on trying to emulate guys like Benoit,
Right.
Jericho, Malenko, Guerrero, and like I read their books and such. I'm really big on like reading wrestling books, and they all had stints in foreign countries, be it Mexico, be it the UK, be it Japan. Like they all had stints like that. So I really like do want to make a bigger name for myself internationally.
Yeah, gotcha. That kind of follows up into my next question, as far as like, what keeps you grounded, motivated, while working in the industry.
I think trying to please that little kid inside of me, like my inner
Mhm.
child, but also
Mm.
really trying to make my family proud. Like I come from a great, great, great family, like who like have shown me nothing but love and support. Maybe not understanding like why I'm going down the road I am, but like they know that I'm putting my all into it, and they know that like I'm doing things that they would never dreamed of for themselves, and that's something that really is a major factor for like why I'm trying to go so hard with this.
Yeah, I think we all fall into that category, especially like myself, when when it comes to media hosting side, and like trying to explain it to a family member who may not have that familiarity to it. They're like, "Oh, why are you doing that? Why are you putting money into that?" Like I'm like,
Yeah, that's
I
actually my
I,
next
I
question
love
for you.
this. Yeah.
That's actually my next question for you. So you said like your dad kind of put on wrestling one day, and your cousin had SmackDown versus Raw and stuff like that. Did you have any pushback from any family? Like when you say, "Oh, I want to be a pro wrestler," they were like, "Pro wrestler," Like I know to this day, like when I say like, "Oh, I cover wrestling or I do wrestling podcasts," they're like, it's fake. Like did you have anyone kind of like try to deter you or kind of like like tear you down a little bit for wanting to do this?
I really want to say tear me down, but just like disturb me, like mostly like my mom, my grandma, because like they wanted me to like be smarter. I'll keep it about you. Want to be smarter, you want to be more logical. try to do something more practical as opposed to like basically joining the circuit.
Hmm.
But they do see that like I am doing pretty well with wrestling, so I think that's why they're like more so they're very supportive now. It just took a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I know, I mean, you're more in the business than I am, but like me saying, "Oh, I cover wrestling," like wrestling, so I can only imagine for you like what you got. But another question I have for you is, CZW. You know, I mean, in terms of independent companies, CZW is kind of the upper echelon of the independent game. How did that transpire? You know, you kind of joining CZW and now world tag team champions.
So when I first started looking for wrestling schools, I was looking for schools in close proximity, close proximity. Yeah, to me in Camden, New Jersey. So it was either I was going to join up with the Chikara Wrestle Factory or the Combat Zone Wrestling Dojo. It just
Hmm.
so happened that the CZW Dojo was closer. So I want to say like probably like a year before I actually started training, I would call DJ High just like try to get a feel for like, oh man, like what am I getting myself into? And he was very honest in terms of like the negatives of wrestling, but also the positives of wrestling. So me being so young, I kind of like I listened mostly to the positives, and I just went for it at a pretty young age. And getting to the point where like I'm now a tag team champion, it was just years, like years upon years about like trying to be the hardest worker that I can be, and just reaping the benefits of whatever opportunity was given my way.
Tell us about the moment like started working with with your partner as Deshaun Pratt, correct? That's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like tell us about that moment, you know what I mean? Like the two of y'all, coming up in the ranks and coming to the point of becoming a tag team.
All right. So my history with Deshaun Pratt really goes back like we were on the same show together. I want to say back in 2019, and I
Oh,
knew who
really?
he
This was
was. Like,
even before being actually jumping into the business.
oh no, I was in the business at this point, but I was
Oh,
still
okay.
like just like having like my first, it's like my second year of having
Hmm.
matches. I want to say.
Gotcha.
So I just asked him, "Hey yo, I was wondering if you could watch a match for me, because we're both from Camden, New Jersey, but
Hmm.
like he's also like super like well known.
Okay.
So I asked him to watch my match. He gave me feedback. He told me I put it on for the city. So like basically that's what he told me. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, CZW before we went back to a live show, we were doing like closed set tape shows, and I was put against Deshaun, and we just had very good in ring chemistry from that. And then right after we came back with the live shows, the first couple, decision was made to put us together as a tag team because it writes itself. We're both two young African American men from Camden, New Jersey, the most dangerous city in America,
Hmm.
Right.
and we just bonded in a way that's like it's truly beautiful. And I can't describe it. Like he's now basically my brother, and I love him to death.
Nah, that's
That's
love,
pretty
man.
cool. That's pretty
Major
cool.
love. We're talking to Boom CZW Tag Team Champ Boom Harden on the Still Steps. During your downtime, what are some ways you like to disconnect from your career?
Disconnect from my career. Well, it's really hard for me to disconnect because, like, even on my downtime, it's like I'm either playing a wrestling video game, I'm either playing like the new 2K, just got that new AEW joint,
Nice.
What's
or
your take on it? I haven't played it yet.
it's fun. Like, it's really fun. I wish there was like more to do. Like, I wish there was like some type of equivalent to Universe mode, but like just playing Exhibition is really fun. When I played Road to the Elite, like the career mode, it's pretty cool. Like, I'm really having fun with it.
Yeah, I heard it has like that old WCW Nitro feel from back in the day, like from the PlayStation. I've yet to like really tap into it, but I do tend to play it at some point. But yeah, like I heard it has like that feel to it.
Yeah, I have a quick question for you. So I hate to take it here, but you mentioned like COVID and stuff like that. How did the pandemic and stuff kind of affect your wrestling career? You think it kind of slowed you down and like, I mean, you feel like you could have been even further up the rankings at this point if COVID hadn't happened?
Sometimes I do think about this a lot. Like just like that whole I never like really stopped working, if that makes any sense. Like even like in the house I kept trying to do like little workouts and stuff like that. I actually think that it may have benefited me
Hmm.
in a way because when that happened, it's like you really got to see who wanted it.
Right.
Whereas like so many people like this is like your one excuse, like, okay, you can get fat, you can just eat as much junk food as you want. You can like not have to worry about anything. Where it's like I was really focused on like, okay, how can I make the most out of my career when we get back to business?
I never thought about that. That's actually a really interesting point.
Nah, that's cool. Who's a dream opponent that you may have?
The Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh, you're going to
Mm.
the top there. Listen, we're gonna tag this up for you. And we'll call them out for you. All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. By motor
Yes.
MMC MMG. You heard him. He
Yeah.
wants you.
Coming for you.
You can find him at Boom Harden. Put it out there, but no, like that would actually be dope. I can see it though, as far as like, especially with the technical mindset. That's two members that's like really good floor wrestlers, and they can be acrobatic as well. Like they high flyers too. That I could definitely see that for sure.
I have a last question for you. I don't want to keep you all night. I don't know. Keeming has a couple more, but we talked about CZW, ultraviolet stuff like that. Could we possibly in the future see you in a TOD or a Cage of Death type of situation? Is that something that you want to do going forward?
Yes, 100%. My
Mm.
like I had like remember like when Cody Rhodes did that little list, John?
Yeah.
So like when I was in high school, I like did my own version. One of the things on the list was to wrestle in Tournament of Death and also wrestle in Cage of Death. Those are two things that I really wanted to do.
So DJ, September, make
Sign
it
'em up.
happen. Make it happen.
Make
Like
it
sign,
happen.
like sign them up, sign them up. So, I got another question. It's a little bit more deep, So like, it appears, in the world, they're listening, understanding to equality in the country. As far as like with wrestling right now, do you feel like there's becoming that level of an equal balance of wrestling, like how we see the uprise of like Roman, the Bloodline, and even in other companies where like we have standouts of like a Powerhouse Hobbs, or even like going back to WWE, like with Bobby Lashley, who was a recent champ. Like, do you feel that changes like in the wrestling industry are beginning to come full circle from, especially for what it was years ago, where it just wasn't a lot of minority top stars or even champions to say like, do you see like there is that light at the end of the tunnel where there's that equal balance of equality in professional wrestling?
Almost definitely. Like I think like right now, like minorities, like we killing the like we killing the game right now. It's great.
Yeah,
Especially like I want to say like 2 weeks ago I watched the Dark Side of the Ring about JYD, the Junkyard Dog, and like that like
yes, that
really
was
like opened
really
my
good
eyes
and
and
pretty
something like
sad. Yeah.
I was like, yo, like we really are just like eating off like guys like that with hard work on guys like Big Cat, Ernie Ladd, like dudes like that, dudes like Bro Brazil. It's like they really like they struggle so we could thrive, and like we really are thriving right now. There's still a lot more work to do, as always, but like right now we're in a really good spot.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree. And this would be my last question to you. I typically, like to end this with this particular question. But if you could give 10-year-old Boom Harden advice coming up in professional wrestling today, what would it be?
I would tell them to exercise more, don't eat so much, get out the house, but also believe in yourself fully. Believe in yourself fully.
Mm.
Don't never doubt yourself.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree, man. So, Boom, it's a pleasure to have you on this evening. Greatly appreciate it. Like it's hard out here when it comes to actually being able to have the opportunity to speak with wrestlers. We've had the door closed on us, with a few folks, but we appreciate your time, joining us here on the Still Steps. And as always, feel free to plug away, any upcoming shows, matches that you have booked. Feel free to plug away, as well as your social media platforms.
All right, so coming up Me and Deshaun Pratt, we got the WIN. The Wrestling is Now Maximo Legacy Tournament, where we determine the first ever WIN Tag Team Champions. That takes place July 29th in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, at the Mecca in Ridgefield Park. And then after that, the week after that, on August 6th, in Harvard Grace, Maryland, at Limelight, you have CMD versus the Slime Balls for the CZW World Tag Team Championships. If you want to follow me, please, at Boom Harden on Instagram, Boom Harden on Facebook, Boom Harden on Snapchat, and Boom Harden on YouTube.
Oh man, absolutely.
That tournament, that's the SAT, right? They're kind of like promoting that.
Yep.
Yeah.
July 29th.
Oh man, that's dope. So to all the viewers out there, you in the area for these upcoming events, go cop your tickets. Go shout out Boom, shout out the CMD, shout out to Deshaun Pratt, one half of the tag team champs with Boom. Go out there, go cop y'all tickets. Also check into Combat Zone Wrestling, where you can see Boom wrestling, as well as with his partner, part of CMD.
Yeah, and that's got the huge main event. That's got Leo versus Swan, right, for the CZW title.
Yeah,
Leo versus
It's
Swan.
gonna be a hell of an event.
Absolutely. So, Boom, again, we greatly appreciate you stopping by, and please do not be a stranger. One thing about Still Steps, like once you come on with us, you're a part of the family. Whatever it is that you need us to promote, like we got you, whether it's on Twitter, IG, share it in the stories. You know what I mean? We got you, man. So we greatly appreciate it, and much success, going into the future, man. Because I know it's a difficult task, but one thing for sure, you've been doing it for so long. You're able to succeed in this business, man. You got it. I definitely believe you have it.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Had a good time talking.
Absolutely, man.
I appreciate it.
Boom Harden, one half of the CZW Tag Team Champions, CMD. Again, this is Still Steps at Politic and Hawk, Mr. Joey Woods, and we'll be talking to you momentarily with Pat from Ambler and Mr. Moyofic Chris Wilson coming up next.